If you're watching us on a Monday night, welcome to the show and thank you for being here. And if you're listening to us on a Tuesday, you missed out. Once again, we are live every Monday night on Twitch starting from 9 p.m. And of course, this is the Anglo-Italian Pod. And I'm Tommy, and you can find us on Instagram at Anglo-Italian Pod. And I'm here with...
As always, I'm Rory. You can follow us on Twitter at Italian Anglopod. How do I still not remember that? At Italian Anglopod. Tommy, how has your weekend been? I feel like we were both quite quiet this weekend.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know, there is this very needed Easter break approaching. I was looking at the calendar after Christmas and I was like, I will need a break again after this long one. And it's very nice to look forward to a work break of some kind. And it's been nice to just follow international football without pressure, without too much pressure of like positions in the standings and all that. How has your life been, Rory?
Yeah, good. Thank you. I am so ready for this week off. I am excited to have nothing to do. We've got some ideas for stuff for the pod we can do in this break. So we will still be busy, guys. Don't worry. But yeah, I've been good. Yeah, this international football has been I think I said it last week, a palate cleanser. I feel like I'm ready to go back to club football. It's been nice to see different contexts, different teams. I just feel refreshed and ready for Arsenal to disappoint me as we have Liverpool at home straight back into the league. So we shall see. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. And this weekend was nice. It was nice.
Talking about club football, I have to. So my mom purchased the house in Spain and she's moved there. And of course, she's been, telling me, come visit, come visit. With all these restrictions, it's a bit hard to know when you can go or not. And in the end, there are rumors about borders opening up again. And they said, okay, I'll come at the end of April. And then my friend Michael said, what if Inter Milan win the league in advance and you are in Spain? If we win the league for the first time after 13 years and you're not here to celebrate. And so it was like, oh my, I really need to sit down. And this is what I'm doing in these days, like sitting down and trying to understand when that day come.
You can't go away until the season's over.
Yeah, basically, I know. I think the earliest I go, I reduce more the chances of them winning the title early. But yeah, this is something this is something that I've been struggling with. But so we wanted to start from, since there has been quite a lot of international football going on, and sometimes it's a little hard to make sense of all of it. We were thinking of starting from the Euro under 21, which are taking place right now. Oh my God, we've got graphics too? This is dope. Nice.
Euro qualifiers, it kind of counts. I didn't quite prepare for the under 21s, but we're going to start with the under 21s. And if we're both feeling quite optimistic about our full national teams, we're not feeling so optimistic about our U21 teams, as the Americans might say. For England, it has been horrific. They've lost their first two games, which means that Adi Boothroyd has now won only 3 of his last 18 tournament final games, which is absolutely awful. And we have to say that this generation of under-21 players for England is a fantastic generation. So not only the likes of Eddie Nketiah and Emil Smith-Rowe from Arsenal, but there's a lot of... I was looking through the squad, and it's just Premier League players, basically, and he's just wasting this team. Now, he's a manager who... His kind of job history is weird. I remember him at Watford in the Premier League. I'm pretty sure he got them relegated. Then he ended up in the lower leagues, got Northampton relegated to League Two, and then somehow fell into the under-21 job. And nobody's quite sure how he found himself there. But he's there, and there is no sign of them getting rid of him yet. They've told him that he has this week or 5 days to save his job. I think most people were hoping he would have been gone by now, but no such luck. For the under-21s, it looks like they're out already. So another massively, massively underwhelming tournament for them. I'm just going to take you through the lineup. So most of these players, like Ramsdale, plays for Sheffield United, Tanganga from Spurs, Godfrey, Everton, Sessegnon, Spurs, Smith-Rowe, Arsenal, Skip, Tottenham, Davies from Everton. Then we've got Nketiah up front from Arsenal, Sessegnon, Spurs again. Like, these are players that are playing not regular, but a few of them are playing regular Premier League football. Like, they should be able to hack it in an under-21 tournament. So big questions about Boothroyd. From the highlights that I saw, they were kind of they're not dominating the game. They were playing nice-ish football, but just couldn't create chances, couldn't score, couldn't finish, a bit aimless. And it all looks a bit, well, predictable. People knew this was going to happen with Boothroyd in charge because every other tournament has been terrible with him as well. But before we moan about England too long, Tommy, tell me how terrible it's been for Italy.
Well, Italy, I will admit I haven't watched the games. I just read the scores: 1-1 against the Czech Republic and 0-0 against Spain. And then I saw this post on Instagram that said Italy and at the under-21 so far, 2 games, 1 goal, 2 draws, and 4 red cards. Now, there were 2 red cards in the game against Spain, and there was 1 big red card again on the game against the Czech Republic. Now, I'm missing the 4th one. If anybody knows who got it, probably somebody on the bench. But the first one was from Tonali, and it was a bad tackle. Now, this is the most experienced football player that we have in our U21 squad. There was a lot of people were criticizing Mancini for not calling him up to the senior squad. But upon seeing that foul, and I was just like, wow, that was very immature. And maybe, you see, once again, we can always judge, for example, the squad called up by a coach and everything. But when I see Tonali getting a red card, then I'm like, this is the reason why I didn't call him up. Maybe he doesn't have that maturity yet. And Italy have not been performing. They've scored only 1 goal in 2 games, and right now they're sitting 3rd in their group. Now, the Euro under-21 tournament is a relatively small tournament. There are only 4 groups of 4 teams, so 16 teams total. Italy are currently sitting 3rd in a group with Spain, who are 1st at 4 points. Czech Republic 2nd at 2, and Italy also have 2 points, and Slovenia only have 1. But I was looking at the other results, and the only 2 teams that were able to win 2 games out of 2 were Denmark and Portugal. France, for example, they won 1 and they lost another one. So did Croatia, and so did Switzerland. England, as you said, they lost 2 already. And then even Germany, they drew 1 and they won 1, and so did Romania. Now, during this international break, they are playing the group stage, while the final part of the tournament will unfold at the end of May and beginning of June, after the national leagues have finished. So I think that the next game, both for England and Italy, is going to be key. England are playing Croatia.
I honestly, it's going to be 3 losses out of 3. I'm telling you now.
All right. So you're playing Croatia on Wednesday, while Italy are playing Slovenia tomorrow night at 9 p.m. While in the rest of the world, pretty much everybody is playing the World Cup qualifiers except South American nations, because the majority of the games have been cancelled upon the coronavirus emergency, and Africa, where countries are still qualifying for the Africa Cup of Nations. But I think that now, Rory, we've got a clear pictures of the teams that are going to participate, right?
We do. So we have finally the teams that have qualified. So let's go. We have Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso and Malawi, Ghana and Sudan, who qualify for the first time since 2012. We have Gambia, who qualify for the first time top of their group ahead of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's Gabon. Then we have Morocco, Mauritania, Cameroon, Cape Verde, Egypt, Comoros, who we covered last episode, Algeria, Zimbabwe, Senegal, Congo, Tunisia, Equatorial Guinea, Ivory Coast, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Benin. Those are the teams. There are some really good teams amongst it. As always, I feel like the African nations are always improving, but there are also some big teams missing, like South Africa, who lost to Sudan 2-0 yesterday, which meant that they went out. So South Africa were playing at home. They needed a draw. Sudan needed to win, and Sudan won 2-0. Now, this made me think, most countries, after they host a tournament, there seems to be like a legacy, or there's a bit of a kind of boom in football after they hold the tournament, the investment, the interest it all increases. With South Africa, there is zero legacy from that World Cup being in South Africa. And if the legacy is anything, it's the fact that the stadiums are just these skeletons in the middle of the country now. That I've seen a documentary about it. It's pretty grim. Like, they're never used, they're empty. Like, it was the worst case of FIFA going into a country, taking all the money and leaving, if you know what I mean. And now even the national team is much worse than in 2010, when they were then considered the worst host nation to ever be there, right? They had some nice moments, but they went out in the group stage, right? So their team then wasn't even that great. And now it seems like they're just dropping lower and lower and lower. And it's sad to see. I think we all hope that South Africa would have taken a boost from that. Like, they're a big country, big sports country, great at rugby, great at cricket, have a lot of like reputation in the Olympics, but their football team just doesn't seem to be improving.
The Bafana, I believe, is their nickname, correct?
Exactly. A moment for all of Africa. One of the most cringy commentator moments in English ever. But
I remember that.
Yeah, it's sad to see with South Africa.
I remember that player who scored for them. He had that very funny last name, Shabalala, and I remember something like that. And I remember the
Shabalala.
What was the name?
Shabalala.
And I remember.
I'm pretty sure that was it.
The Italian commentator, when he scored, he went to Shabalala. People were just like, what is that? It's so funny. Shabalala.
We have just had, from our reliable news source, news just in, Man City have confirmed that Aguero will be leaving in the summer.
Ooh, hopeless wanderer. Where do you get this information from? The man
keeping
himself?
Us up to date and relevant. Thank you. We owe you another beer. Tommy, first reactions. Aguero's leaving City. Where's he going to go?
Come to Inter Milan, buddy. We have a place for you. I mean, whatever.
I'm just going to show my instant response was, I beg Arsenal sign him on a free. I would quite happily take him.
Well, I mean, I doubt wherever he's going to go, he will not be a bench player. So he should be a starter somewhere. Now, there should be, I don't know how much money he is on per year, but I want to say around, it's going to be a tenner. Yeah, probably 10.
Yeah, roughly. Pocket change, I think.
Yeah, so I don't think Inter Milan would have that margin to invest on somebody. And also, we already have two starting forwards. Talking seriously, what if it was the treat to keep Messi at Barcelona?
Oh, that's a good shout. Although I feel like maybe if he's going to go back to Spain, he makes a romantic return to Atletico.
Or Atletico Madrid with Luis Suarez. Suarez up front. Good luck, goalkeeper. He will go to Juventus. They love a free, says Steve. Steve, I don't know. They would probably fuck it up with an Italian, with a rigged Italian exam, right? They will give him the answers beforehand, and then next thing you know, he's joined Atletico Madrid, just like Suarez.
Well, his English still. I don't know how good his English is, but he never does interviews, so I'm not sure if he speaks English by this point. So maybe Italian he might struggle with as well. I'm not sure.
No, I have watched an interview recently with Aguero. He was speaking Spanish though, but it was from I want to say an English page on Instagram or something. They went to his house, and it was kind of sad. I mean, like, he's a grown-up man. I mean, and of course he can live alone and whatever. But he divorced from his former wife. His kid lives in Argentina, and he doesn't have any pets. And he was showing this huge mansion where he lives, and multiple times he was just like, yeah, there is not much to do. Just like, I watch TV, I play a lot of video games. That's my life outside of football. And I was just like, that's kind of sad.
It kind of hurts a little bit, eh? That does hurt a little bit. But Sergio, come to the Emirates. We will welcome you with open arms. We need to return to international football. I feel like we need to.
Just one last thing about Aguero. That son of his, who's now moved back to Argentina, he is the one who is, I believe, if I don't want to get him mistaken, he's Maradona's nephew. He's Aguero's son. Maradona's nephew, and his stepfather is Lionel Messi. And there was the meme when he was baptized that said, "No pressure, kid."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You have all of the genes and influence around you. He has to be a world beater, surely. He has to.
Let's go back to international football, and we're not going to really break down individual games, but we're just going to go through headlines. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is Mr. Alexander Zorloff. He's a Norwegian striker, and he wears number 9 for the national team. Now, can you please give that shirt to Haaland? Because Haaland playing with number 23 on his back looks out of place. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, 23 is the number that Beckham had, right? It's Michael Jordan's number. It's quite possible that he's picked that number on purpose. I think if it was any other number, I'd say, yeah, but 23, I think Beckham kind of made that call. Also, it could be a seniority thing. Maybe he gets picked because he's a more experienced player. I don't know, but whatever number he's got on the back, it's not working for him with Norway at the moment. He cannot seem to get a goal. He had a few opportunities where I thought, come on, mate, and then just quite like an inch away, his foot just missed. He just got the header wrong, just not quite working there. But Turkey look incredible, eh?
Yeah, that's the thing. Now, as I said during our pod on Friday, I'm keeping an eye during this international break. I'm keeping an eye on Italy, of course, and on the teams that are going to play at the Euro Championship this summer. And we're in the group with Wales, Switzerland, and Turkey. Now, if I already said on Friday that it was not going to be an easy group, I'm even more convinced that it's going to be hell. That game against Turkey, which we play, is the first game that we play. And we've said it over and over again. During an international tournament, you don't have that many chances. And the first game, win or loss, changes absolutely everything. So we want it to be a win, but getting a win against this Turkish team is going to be hard. They play on the counter very effectively. They've got a bunch of tall players that make it very difficult to defend on corner kicks. They are fast, and they have got a bunch of shooters from outside the box, besides Çalhanoğlu, that look quite intimidating.
Well, that Tufan's second goal was incredible.
Oh,
Really,
man.
really beautiful goal. But I was looking at Turkey's record, and you're right. They're going to be so in their last 10 games, they've only lost 2, which was weirdly both to Hungary. I'm not sure whether they're like Hungary are their kryptonite, but every other game they've kind of won or drawn, lost twice to Hungary, and in their last 2 games they've scored 7 goals now. So you're right; they seem to be on the counter, just clinical, and yeah, they've got options everywhere, right? And Soyuncu at the back, not only doing the defending, but now chipping in with the goals as well. That is a scary squad to meet in a tournament. But when I was watching it, I kind of couldn't help think that it was 2 teams that are at different stages than each other. I don't know. Whereas a lot of Norway's good players are the young players. Maybe Turkey's players are a bit more experienced, a bit older. Maybe that was the difference. But as you've just highlighted, Hopeless Wanderer seems as a tactics for Norway the main reason they are struggling. Now, I believe their manager is still the same manager that's been in charge for a long time. Stelbakken, I want to say. He's been there for a long, long time. National hero. So maybe they need something. Well, maybe they need something a bit fresher. Maybe they're boycotting the tournament early. Maybe they're just throwing in the towel. I don't know. But it's not been a great start for them.
Yeah, I don't think Haaland can afford to miss on the opportunity of playing a World Cup already to get some experience in. Even if you don't win it, you're Norwegian and everything. But I think that it's fundamental for him at this point in his career to get some of that international experience. But so, yeah, Turkey just absolutely convincing, winning and convincing in the first 2 games of the World Cup qualifiers is my first headline. Rory, what is a point that you would like to discuss with our viewers and with me?
Well, I'm gonna, seeing as Hopeless Wanderer has had quite an active role in the show so far, thank you again. I'm gonna go to your question. So, do we think that the Nations League is helping the so-called minnows become more competitive? Now, I've got my answer already kind of locked and loaded, but Tommy, what are your first thoughts before I go off on one?
No, yeah, you did send me this question before we started recording, and I started thinking about it. And in case you don't know, listeners, I don't use Twitter as much as Rory does. This is something that I need to work on. I'm kind of taking care of the Instagram, but I realize that a lot of talking goes on, especially goes on Twitter. And I think it's a very good point. I hadn't really thought about it, but definitely the fact of having removed pretty much completely friendly games definitely gives an extra boost to those smaller teams who find themselves competing on the big stage. So it's like rehearsing. It's like an official rehearsal of what you're going to do when you're playing, for example, for the World Cup qualifiers or the Euro qualifiers or whatever. It's like the last rehearsal that they do in theater, which is it doesn't have any interruptions, and you actually can buy tickets to go see it.
The dress rehearsal. Yeah, exactly.
The dress rehearsals. So you basically get a chance to see how you can perform on that stage. And then when the chance comes, hopefully you're more prepared. But I'm ready for you to fire your answer, since you said that it was locked and loaded. You look confused now.
Well, I think I saw a lot of coverage this week that I think was slightly patronizing to San Marino. Now, I understand San Marino aren't a great team, right? They don't win many games. And I can understand the argument of like, why are they even here? But they have the right to be there. They are a country, right? They have the right to be there. They have the right to play. We all like to talk about football as it's everybody's game. It's the world's game, right? So everybody has the right to play. Now, should they have to pre-qualify? I think the Nations League does the job, right? I think the Nations League definitely gives them a chance to win games, get draws, develop, and then in the World Cup qualifiers, they can play bigger opposition and see how they do, right? Now, especially this week, we've seen Malta go 2 goals up, right? We've seen Armenia beat Iceland. So Iceland were the emerging nation, and now Armenia are, right? And that I feel like that result really jumped out to me. We saw, I'm just scrolling through now, there was another one in my mind. Oh, God. So Malta went 2-0 up against Slovakia. Georgia led Spain 1-0 for a very long time in that game. And we've seen a few teams that I think you can see that they're starting to get a bit more competitive. They're starting to be not as much of a walkover as they used to be. And I think this is all in part to the Nations League and then being able to play similarly sized countries. Then if England have to play San Marino twice in the space of 10 years for a World Cup qualifier, I don't see it as a problem. If San Marino are happy to turn up and lose 6-0, like most likely, then fine. If England players have to go through the drudge of playing them, I don't really have much sympathy for them. Yes, I forgot the Luxembourg result. Conveniently, we are going to come on to that, but that is also another one. And for a lot of these countries as well, you're seeing their players in other competitive leagues. So you're seeing like the Armenian players, the one who jumps out is Mkhitaryan, played for United, Arsenal, Roma, right? And a lot of these countries now do have kind of recognized players. And I think this all feeds in. And I am the biggest fan of the Nations League. We've said it before. It's not for the big countries. It wasn't designed for the big countries. It was designed to help develop the little countries. I think it's doing exactly what it's designed to do. If they could introduce it on a world stage, I think that would be incredible. But I think for smaller countries, the travel costs, without getting into admin, the travel costs alone would absolutely cripple them. So I don't think it's feasible. But maybe it's something that could be looked into. But I think they should still have their chance to play against the bigger teams. They should still have their stage, right?
Of course they should. Just 2 quick things. Number one, Rory's birthday is in July. So if you want to get him some Nations League merchandise, you know when to do that. A little, snapback hat that says Nations League, biggest fan.
I'll be a massive fanboy, a big foam finger. Yeah, let's do it all. Let's go.
But you don't support any team in particular, just the competition.
Just fingers. Nations League. Woo!
Up go the Nations League. Let's go. You could be their mascot, Rory. No, but the other thing, since you almost...
Man, I love it. I really love it. I love it.
Since you almost quoted the exact same words as our guest, I'm going to redirect you listeners and viewers in case you haven't listened to it, but I'm pretty sure you did, especially Steve and Hopeless Wanderer. On episode 26, we released Football Should Be For Everyone with manager and author Paul Watson. If you want to listen to a good interview about international football and really having the opportunity, giving everybody the opportunity to compete in football, you should definitely listen to this interview. We released it on February 19th, and it's episode 26. But now, Rory, it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. What happened to Ireland?
So you can see I've placed this shirt conveniently front and center, and you can also see, sorry, my camera's flipped, so I'm trying to figure out which way I've got to go. You can also see that it's very, very old and battered. This is both a decoration and a metaphor. That shirt has seen better days. The team has seen much better days. Oh my God, it was awful. Now, from the Serbia game, I was like, okay, we lost to Serbia. We've talked about they have like proper players, right? They have Champions League players. Ireland don't. 3-2 is a respectable result. Luxembourg was absolutely atrocious. The first half, I thought we were okay, if not a bit boring. Second half, we just offered nothing, and Luxembourg just started pushing and pushing and pushing. And their goal, it was a nicely hit goal, and weirdly, their goal kind of sums up where Ireland are at, right? So it was scored by, I believe his name's Fernandez, and he plays for Dynamo Kiev, right? So it was a Dynamo Kiev player scoring against a goalkeeper who plays for Rochdale, right? Now, no disrespect to Rochdale, but that is the level where Ireland are at now. That is where we're getting our players from. In the past, we used to be able to get Premier League, or we used to have Premier League, even Champions League players, Roy Keane, Damien Duff, Robbie Keane, right? Absolutely incredible players, Shay Given. Now, the pool we're picking from is just not good enough. Now, why is this? The book I mentioned last time is by a guy called Miguel Delaney. He's called Champagne Football, and he's one of the greatest kind of, and he wrote a great article, and it was quite funny because the article was from 10 years ago, and he was talking about the problems that are about to arise and why they're about to arise, and he got it absolutely spot on. It's the fact that, so without going too much into it, the most countries, their national federation runs everything, right, down to schoolboy level, right? They run all football in their country. In Ireland, there are four different associations that run different things, and they're all competing with each other for the right to do this, for the kind of permission to do that, the development of this. It means that they're all fighting over it, and there's no one direction. Mm-hmm. Without naming, that was weird, but there's no one direction, right? So this is where one of the main issues comes in. Also, football has a very political history in Ireland. Again, definitely not going into this too much, but it was always the English game, whereas the Irish game was Gaelic and hurling, right? So there's still a kind of a lot of politics behind it. But beyond that, the league, and this is what we talked about with Filippo in our interview with him, the league hasn't been developing for a very long time. There's been no development of the League of Ireland, and therefore no development of the players. They're only starting to do it now, and this means that the results of this, hopefully, we will see in, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, let's say, like optimistically 5 years, right? 10 years, maybe realistically. So it's just the FAI have been ran so badly for so long under John Delaney that it's got us where we are, and that it all came to that performance. Now, yes, he made 10 changes from the previous game. I think Stephen Kenny he's a Dundalk legend, and I'm definitely going to hope he does well. I still hope he does well. The FAI cannot sack him. That is not where the problem is. If you sack him, you just bring in a Sam Allardyce, and then we're back to being the Stoke City of international football. I don't want that.
Or
at least Trapattoni, I would kill for Trapattoni right now. But
I don't think he's coaching anymore.
But he's trying to play better football. You can see he's getting a system, and there was a really good point brought up this week. Michael O'Neill, when he came in charge, when he took charge of Northern Ireland, he won one of his first 18 games, including losses to Azerbaijan and Luxembourg, ironically, right? They didn't sack him. They waited. They let him get his system. They let the time pass, and he became their most successful manager of all time, getting them to a Euros, right? I think the FAI have to be patient. Stephen Kenny is the right man for the job. He is inexperienced at international level, but I think he will get there eventually. He's the best we've got, I think. But that performance was horrific. Fair play to Luxembourg. They are a lot better than I thought they were. A lot better than I thought they were. But Ireland were terrible. Seamus Coleman came out after the game, like Ireland legend, Ireland captain, and was just like, this is the most embarrassing night of our lives. There's nothing we can say. It's disgraceful. We apologize. We need to take a long, hard look at ourselves. All we've got now is a friendly against Qatar, and Christ, we need to win that. Like, even though it's unfriendly, we need to win that game.
I don't know the name Seamus. How do you pronounce it? Seamus.
Seamus.
You know that in Italian, scemo means dumb, idiot. I don't know. The name Seamus always makes me think about that word. I don't know.
It's pretty close.
I don't know. Scemo in Italian means idiot. Every time I hear Seamus Coleman, I'm like, couldn't he be called John or I don't know, Aaron, something more Irish? But yeah, very good, a very interesting breakdown on Ireland, and it's a team that I barely follow, but it's one of those teams that when they make it to the final stage of an international tournament, you're like, feels nice to see Ireland participating, being there. But talking about Ireland,
wait 1 second, just before we quickly go on, will the Irish media put pressure on the FAI though to sack Kenny? Appears to be what most things I've read say might happen. Yes, the papers are chasing him out of the job already, and I would say they take their inspiration from the English media when it comes to how they treat their football team and their managers. They are pretty cutthroat, but on the whole, it's more the tabloids that are doing this. I think the broadsheets are tending to take a longer view of it, whereas the Sun and the Mirror, etc., are kind of calling for his head. I think they just want like a Mick McCarthy, and honestly, I'd rather watch the football we're playing at the moment, even if we're doing it badly, than the Stoke City of international football that we were watching before, where we might get the odd result, but Christ, every other game is horrific to watch.
Right. And I'm going to redirect our listeners to another episode 23. It was a very nice interview also with Dundalk FC manager Filippo Giovagnoli. The name of the episode is The Club Shall Stay Strong, and it was released on February 5th, and we talk a lot about the Irish national team as well. So, Rory, I was just going through our talking points for today, and let's go South America really quick, or Central America, I would say, before we go to our respective countries. Because, guys, I was just looking that countries like Saint Kitts and Nevis, islands, probably beautiful, gorgeous islands, and if I was there, I would just chill on the beach and not play football.
Interesting. Sorry, St. Kitts and Nevis, one of their greatest players ever played for Crewe Alexandra, Rodney Jack. I named my first pet after him. Anyway, go on, next one. Yes.
Nice. What pet was it? I didn't know you had
it was
a pet.
hamster. It was called Rodney.
Nice. So St. Kitts and Nevis and Curacao, which I heard from some is the most beautiful island of the Caribbean, they both have 6 points out of 6 in their respective groups. Now, the winners of each group, they're going to go on a final group, and the top 2 teams are going to qualify for the World Cup. So don't get excited. Don't go online and buy a St. Kitts and Nevis kit yet. But it's looking like even in the Caribbean, like the balances, they're shifting a little bit. So we might have yet some new names at the next World Cup. And if you're fans of the pod, you will know that Rory and I are all about a weird named country on the international stage.
All about it. We have spent, we've spent the whole week trying to reach out to Comoros players. So anybody out there, if you know anybody who plays for Comoros, please slide into our DMs. We want you on the pod.
And you're listening, make them come, convince them to come to our pod. But I believe, Rory, that now it's about time to talk about our respective countries, and to kind of introduce the topic, we have a little quiz for each other, don't we?
We do. Which country are we doing first, Tommy?
Let's do England first.
Okay, we are currently flying over the greatest stadium in England. We're flying over Highbury in the Emirates, and you are going to quiz me, right? So I need to share the screen. Bear with us, guys, for technical reasons. I'm just going to get this ready. So in this quiz, Tommy, explain the rules of the quiz. What are we going to do?
Hopeless Wanderer, Steve Cole, and whoever is the third person watching the show right now, you can play along, and the name of the game is Over or Under. Now, I'm going to be quizzing Rory, but also you all on international caps for England. So I'm going to start with Harry Kane. Okay.
Okay, so here we go. Can you see my screen now? Here we go.
Yes, I can. So here we have Harry Kane, who's got 53 international caps. Now, Our next name is Alan Shearer. Over or under?
Under. He retired quite early from England duty, I think.
Okay, so Rory says under 53 appearances. Let's see if any of our viewers have got an answer. Ready? I don't see anything. And it's wrong, Rory.
No.
It's over 63 caps for England.
Out on the first hurdle. My God.
Steve, you're late. Of course it's over now. I've already said it.
Well, we're gonna play on for the people at home. So type nice and quickly, guys. Let's go.
All right, next one. So Shearer is at 63. Ashley Cole, over or under?
I'm gonna say over.
You're gonna say over. Let's wait very quickly. See if there are any answers coming. The answer is over with 107 international caps.
That guy played a lot. Eh? Greatest left back England have ever had, quite possibly, I think.
Next up, one of my favorite midfielders of all time, Mr. Frankie Lampard. Over or under 107?
I don't think he broke 100.
So what's your answer?
Less. Lower.
Lower? Lower by 106.
Oh, really?
Yup.
Fair play, Frankie.
Frankie with 106 caps. And finally, man, the nostalgia looking at these players. Wayne Rooney, over or under 106?
Oh, over. It has to be. It has to be.
Over 120. Rory, you mostly did pretty
apart
well.
From the first one, apart from Shearer, that's not too bad. It's not too bad.
With 63 international caps. Now you know it, but let's talk England. Rory, what did you make of these two games that have been played during the international break?
Well, I think they've been kind of quietly encouraging, right? The first one, obviously, was San Marino, so that's to be expected, right? As the English media said. But the Albania one could have been a tricky game. It could have been a really tricky game, but it was fairly comfortable. Now, the only thing, I saw a lot of people moaning about Southgate having to play, or Southgate choosing to play, two defensive-minded midfielders at the base of the 4-2-3-1 in Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice. I can understand this, especially as the fact that he hasn't really picked a creative midfielder for that position. I know that Maddison usually plays more advanced on the pitch, but how he hasn't been selected in the squad kind of confuses me. But I think what Southgate is actually doing, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. And I think he's trying to implement a system for when we play the bigger teams. Now, with Calvin Phillips, we've seen him for Leeds. He is capable of getting the ball forward quickly. He's capable of being part of attacks. I think those two players in those positions weren't the issue. I think the issue was quite a lot of the time we were putting crosses into the box and there was nobody there because Harry Kane appeared to take it upon himself to play in midfield. He was always in the for Tottenham. He's having to play that role. For Tottenham, he's dropping deep and he's not only spearheading the attack, he's putting the balls through to Son and Mora or Lamella on the wing. So he's building the plays. But for England, he doesn't need to do that. We need him at the point. We need him in the penalty box around the penalty spot, ready for the chances. That's what we need him to do. And I think Southgate maybe needs to remind him of that role. Southgate is too conservative. He is too conservative. I think he's not telling Harry Kane to stay up front. I think he's saying, yeah, Harry, if you want to drop deep, if you want to do that. But it's just making the attack very blunt. The second goal was of Albania's making, really. It was like there was some good pressure, but the goalkeeper just gave it to us, basically. And Mount with a very nice finish, but that was kind of, we were given that goal. The first goal was a nice header from Kane. I just think it's a bit... I was just disappointed with Harry Kane's positioning the entire way through. I feel like he was not as advanced as he should have been. And yeah, that was the main problem. But hey, we got 6 points for the first two games. You can't really complain about that. I just worry about when we meet bigger teams if Southgate is just going to be even more conservative and just really sit back and really dig in, because if he's doing this against the smaller teams, in quotes, then it doesn't seem promising. But as Hopeless Wanderers just said, Rice with Souček can also interchange with the attacking defensive duties. Yes, Rice he's starting to add that to his game now. The forward runs, the kind of marauding. Against Arsenal, he nearly put one top corner and he ran the length of the pitch, right? He's really becoming a box-to-box midfielder. So I think, there's the potential for both of those midfielders to do that. I just think maybe not together. I don't know. I feel like when we had Lampard, Gerrard, and Scholes, we spent so long trying to crowbar them in that they were both doing each other's jobs. That I don't want that to happen again. And maybe we need a bit of difference there. But I really like Calvin Phillips. I saw a lot of people hating on Calvin Phillips. I'm a big fan of his. I think the role he does for Leeds is fantastic. And if we can get him to do that for England, it could be key. Next up, we have Poland. Lewandowski is injured. That is massive. I feel like we could have struggled in that game. Poland are always a tricky team, but without their main striker, they could be less of a danger. But another very good point, Poland might play better without the reliance on Lewandowski. We see that sometimes with teams, right? When your focal point is gone, everybody else feels the freedom to actually play and express themselves. Maybe we'll see that. I think in a Poland squad, there isn't much beyond him, really. They've got Milik, who's kind of doing okay in Marseille, but I think without Lewandowski, I feel a lot more confident about England's chances. That being said, I've probably just jinxed it. Who knows?
My question is, I didn't watch the England games besides the highlights, but it felt like your defense wasn't way too threatened. What did you make of Nick Pope as the starting goalkeeper for the national team?
Yeah, I think it's hard to judge on a game when he wasn't really tested. I like him at Burnley. Like, that is a team where he is usually quite busy, and he's a very good goalkeeper. I think Pickford being injured is probably a bit of a blessing, because Pickford had that very good form around the last World Cup, but we all know that his form's kind of fallen off a cliff recently. So I think if another keeper is able to come in and claim a place, that would be fantastic for the England national team. And I think between Pope or Henderson, I would take either of them. The fact that Pope is playing more regular football probably puts him ahead of Henderson for me, who is still not first choice at United. I'm not sure why, but he's not first choice at United. So I would say maybe Pope would be my first choice for now. I really do rate him. Exactly. It's between Pope and Henderson. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody's also saying, but Poland might play better without the reliance on Lewandowski. Who knows? I would, if I had Lewandowski, I would always start Lewandowski regardless. But yeah, they do have players with a lot of experience. Maybe they're not the brightest stars in the universe, but they have players with a lot of experience. Many of them also play in Serie A, which doesn't mean anything. But they have got a competitive squad. And I think that's actually a must watch that we've got coming up.
I think it could be a really good game. But I think what also, quickly before we move on to Italy, with England, we have got a very exciting, attacking young bunch of players, as I've said a few times, but people are getting a bit carried away with it. Like, we can't just suddenly go all out attack because we finally got some like promising young players. We still do need a bit of a system and a bit of discipline and a bit of like structure. And I think the Southgate is implementing that, maybe a bit too much, but he is implementing it. I think I would stick with him for now. It's not going to be exciting football. It's not going to be. But I guarantee that if we did well in the tournament, nobody in England would give a shit about how exciting the football was. Yeah. Like, they just wouldn't care. So I think in the qualifiers, you can worry about things like this. But in the tournaments, people very rarely worry about what style of football you're playing.
Yeah, agreed. Let's move to Italy, which are still a very convincing team, despite not playing the sexiest football of them all. The results are coming, and Italians are loving them. But Rory, you've got to quiz me first, if I'm not mistaken.
I do. So give me 2 seconds while, again, I set this up. And we are... So we are going to go on goals. Okay. So starting with, oh God.
Let's see. Let's see. I like the pictures. They give a different feel to the quiz.
So, starting with Alessandro Nesta, how many goals do you think? Well, am I giving you the number?
Yeah, for the first one, yeah.
Okay, so how many goals do you think Nesta has for Italy? Let's see how close you can get.
I would say like he didn't score many goals. I would say like 7 or 8.
He has 1 goal for Italy. So the next player is Inzaghi. More or less goals for Italy?
I would say more. Not sure though.
Are you sure? Are you gonna put your house on that, Tommy?
Yeah, I'm gonna put my house on that. Yeah.
Okay. Inzaghi has congratulations. Oh no, wait, congratulations. 25 goals for Italy. So next, the spoiler was Antonio Cassano. Does Cassano have more or less goals for Italy?
How many did Inzaghi have?
He had 25.
I'm gonna say less.
Correct. He has 10 goals for Italy. So
Yeah.
Cassano with 10.
He's
Then we have.
He's never really been a regular Cassano, has he?
No, unfortunately, but I had to put him in there. You know that I'm a bit in love with Antonio. So next we have Il Bomber, shave like a bomber.
Yeah.
Vieri. Does he have more or less goals than Cassano?
Of course, more than 10 goals, big time.
23, correct. And finally, we're going really old school for the last one. Marco Tardelli.
So how many did we have before 21? You said for
23.
23 for Bobo. Tardelli, I want to say less.
Oh, you've done it, Tommy. He scored 6 goals for Italy. 6.
Yeah, he was like an attacking midfielder, not exactly a forward, but I might be wrong there. Not much knowledge about the Italian national team before I was blessed with this life. But yeah, I got the quiz. Let's go.
Good work, Tommy. I think a few of them were lined up, fortunately. I need to do better next time. But good work, Tommy. Well done.
Yeah, my favorite one was Nesta and Inzaghi, as he scored more or less than 1 goal.
It was all very last minute, guys. I apologize.
No, it's okay. It's great. But talking about Italy, so 24 games unbeaten. This is an Italian record. No Italian team had ever accomplished as many positive results, either draws or wins, and the vast majority of these are wins. Now, the thing about Italy, we don't necessarily play overwhelmingly exciting football. It's not always that pretty, but in the end, it's effective. And just like you were saying, if England were to win the should have done Zaza. I'm not going to comment on that. But if you said that nobody would care if Italy won a tournament and not playing well, neither would Italians. And I think that we're not playing bad football. It just feels like some things need to be worked on a bit more. Now, Mancini has changed the lineup over the 2 games between Northern Ireland and the game against Bulgaria. And I'm starting to think of what's going to be Italy's lineup at Euro 2021. Now, the 2 different midfields that Italy played with a 4-3-3. Against the Northern Ireland, we played with Pellegrini, Locatelli, and Verratti. And against Bulgaria, Interman, Barella, and Sensi were playing alongside Verratti. Now, understandably, Verratti is not in question. Like he's going to hold the keys of the midfield. And man, this guy, he moved from a Serie B side to PSG over one summer, and he's been performing in and out all the time. This guy is a brilliant midfielder, and I think that a lot of people are kind of overlooking his talent simply because he plays in a league that not that many people follow. But wow, seeing him play for Italy, the back heel passes and the long, those long openings to the opposite flank, he's really a game changer. Once again, Filippo Giovagnoli, Dundalk FC manager, said that he is the midfield he would take in his team if he could pick any. Now, I'm starting to think that the other two next to Verratti are going to be Barella, because Barella is another incredible player, and Locatelli. Locatelli from Sassuolo, he used to be at AC Milan. He's been having a great season. And with Verratti, who kind of takes care of the backside. Barella, who plays all over the field. I feel like Locatelli could be a good link up between the midfield and the striker. And if I have to be honest, I like the 4-3-3, but the thing that is starting to worry me is our number 9, Belotti or Immobile.
I think there was so little.
Please go.
Like threat from Italy. Whenever the ball got forward, Belotti he constantly went down. And the one time he did actually stay on his feet, he hit the post, and it almost paid off. I feel like, yeah, between Immobile and Belotti, I wouldn't know who to pick. But going back to Locatelli, when he came on, he just gave that energy in midfield. The game was kind of dying a little bit. Italy were struggling. Bulgaria were maybe coming into it a bit more. And Locatelli just had the legs and that finish to finish off the game. What a player. I can't believe can I believe it? I didn't know that he used to be at Milan. I'm not surprised they let him go, as in, I'm not surprised they were stupid enough to let him go. But I didn't know that. What a player. I think he could be the third one. You're right. Every time I've watched him, I've been so impressed with him. Like I was saying about the Verona Sassuolo game recently, he was like fantastic in that game. Yeah, what a player. And the depth, the squad depth for Italy now is looking weirdly strong from nowhere.
Don't tell anybody, but our friend Nick Zanellato that plays fantasy football with us, they're kind of in competition. They were in competition back in the day for the same shirt at Italy U21. And I remember that one time he said something like, yeah, man, he's very, very good. Yeah, even coming from a footballer, it was like, no, man, like this year we were talking about it, of course. A lot of people are wondering whether he's going to change club. Juventus are after him.
Of course.
However, they're not the most appealing club where to go to at the moment. But I did like the way it. I mean, I think the number 9 is the role that we need to focus on right now. Our defense is solid. We're barely conceding any goals. Our midfield is creative. They can do the stuff. I don't know why Caputo didn't play. You see. I don't know why, but I think that Caputo or Kane would be the perfect player up there. Or somebody like, I'm always up for a little Quagliarella at the Euros.
Oh,
guys,
just for the potential of beautiful goals.
Since I've said it 75 times in 36 episodes, I will say it once again. In my opinion, I have no experience in coaching, no anything. But in my opinion, international tournaments are super short. You need people that have the grit. You need, in my opinion, a Quagliarella that has so much experience that you just be like, Fabio, walking on the pitch and become the oldest goal scorer at a Euro. Oh, also make us win the cup, the trophy, whatever. Go for it. Like, I feel like these players, they could have the motivation more than a Belotti, who's been playing at Torino for so long. He's got a lot of frustration on him. Immobile, yes, golden shoe, European golden shoe, but so many penalties. Like
I'm still gonna, I'm glad you said that. A lot of them are penalties. No matter how many times I hear people say, like, Immobile golden boot winner, yeah, but if you're getting 15 penalties a season, like, does it really count? I don't know.
What about Pelé? Pelé, I would put him on only if there was a lobbed ball coming down mid-air in the box. I would make the substitution at that moment. Pelé comes in, bicycle kick, goal, and then
just at that very second. Quick, get on, go.
Yeah. But no, I think that this is a problem that we have. We don't have a super reliable and prolific number 9. We need to work on that. For the rest, Bastoni hasn't played yet because he was still coming from Inter Milan, where a lot of players were tested positive from COVID. Maybe we will see him play in our next game against Lithuania on Wednesday night, which is going to be the last official game before Euro 2021. However, the dates are not sure yet. I don't know if they've come out, but every time I check, there is still no definite calendar.
I think they're keeping their cards close to their chest on this one. They really don't want to be made to look foolish again, do they? I think they're kind of like, let's wait. But hopefully it will take part this year. I really hope it takes part this year. Otherwise, we'll be waiting till after the World Cup for the next Euros, right? It has to be this year, really.
And then notable mentions, a little round of applause, actually a huge round of applause for Luka Modric, former Ballon d'Or and new record holder for most international caps for Croatia.
Did you see the video of him getting a standing ovation from the Croatia squad? It made me well up a little bit. He was like kind of bawling his eyes out. Poor guy, 135 caps. What an achievement. The greatest Croatian player of all time?
145?
35.
Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah, 135. It's insane, right? He could be the greatest Croatian player of all time. Off the top of my head, I think there's a fair bit of competition for that crown, but he could be up there.
You know, I was reading the other day. Why don't I save this stuff when I see it? I saw how the squads would look like if Yugoslavia and the Soviet Union were still a thing. It would be
game over from Yugoslavia. Honestly, game over. Yeah.
It would be an incredible team. Like, it's actually hard to pick only 23 from Yugoslavia. It's a very tough job. There are so many.
They were always very competitive in the World Cups and the Euros when they won one of the Euros, right? I'm sure Yugoslavia won a World Cup. Not a World Cup, Euros. I'm almost certain they did. They were always really competitive. The USSR as well, yeah, would have been. Obviously, it's not worth the it's not worth the USSR, but hey, you'd have a good football team.
Final trivia, Rory. How old is Romelu Lukaku?
Oh, wait, I was looking at him today. 27.
Correct. 1 year younger than me. Only one. Yeah. 27. How many international goals does he have?
59 goals in 91 games.
Yes, man. It's insane. This guy is 27 years old. And he might as well be on the way to becoming Belgium's most prolific goal scorer ever. And one.
Well, he's their top goal scorer now, right?
Oh, really? Is he already?
Yeah, he's already the record goal scorer.
All right. Yeah. Damn. What a
It's
stat.
insane. It's insane. Honestly, I was looking at something on Twitter and people were kind of Prem heads were slagging off Lukaku, and then someone just shared this screenshot and were like, guys, he still scored 113 goals in the Premier League in like 200 appearances. Like, this guy is not as bad as you convinced yourselves he is. Like, the guy is an absolute machine. Tommy, you've got one of the top 3 strikers in the world at your club. How does it feel?
Is he? I mean, I did the poll on Instagram, and not many people seem to agree that he's one of the top 3 strikers. Definitely top 5, according to me, in Europe. But if you've got different ideas, come at us, slide into our DMs. Remember, Anglo-Italian Pod on Instagram and Italian Anglo Pod on Twitter. Rory, very funny thing about Lukaku. The other night, I had trouble falling asleep, and I feel like I woke up repeatedly overnight. In the morning, I woke up with that unsettling feeling, like I didn't sleep that well. But what was on my mind? Why didn't I sleep well? And I think that I was dreaming of multiple situations going wrong. You know what one of them was?
Is it him getting injured in the next game?
It was Lukaku being called up for the Africa Cup of Nations.
Oh my God, Tommy!
I was like, dude, that doesn't make sense. He's Belgian, and like apparently people had forgotten that he had a Belgian passport and he had to play for Congo. And I was like, no, dude, like it was right at the end of the season, and the African Cup of Nations was starting. And I was like, oh no, man, everything is falling apart.
You'll be fine. Take a deep breath. We're losing Thomas Partey and Aubameyang, so we're going to be in big trouble whenever that happens.
Nice, right? Do you have any final notable mentions, notable headlines from this week?
I think the games that stood out to me. Okay, we have to talk about Ronaldo throwing his dummy out. I can't believe we haven't talked about this yet. Cristiano Ronaldo, what are you doing? I know it's a terrible decision. I know it's frustrating, but you are captain. You cannot throw your armband on the floor and walk off the pitch. You just can't do it. You look like a spoiled brat.
You do. And I mean, I understand the rage, but if you have been in football for 20 odd years, aren't you used to this type of things? And like, I mean, you're the captain, you're an example to a nation and to your team. just don't do that, man. Like show some maturity. However, I have to say that no goal line technology. What? Why?
Yeah,
Like,
it's just like I again was talking about this on Twitter with somebody. I can't remember. I apologize. But I was saying, yeah, I can understand how they might not have the facilities for VAR, but for them to not, they've got to have the facilities for goal line technology. It's the
camera.
goal and a fucking camera. Like FIFA or UEFA can afford to install this in every stadium that is going to be used on the international stage. They can afford to do it. It's disgraceful that they are not doing this. Like, because then things like that happen and you think all of a sudden every competition that we're playing in football now suddenly has different levels of rules. Because like the FA Cup in England, of course, because you're playing in lower league grounds, some of them don't have VAR. So but then the Premier League, you have overuse of VAR, and then in the internationals you have yes here, no there. It's just so inconsistent. I think it's making people more frustrated with the sport in general. But I think from Ronaldo, this is absolutely disgraceful.
I mean, we were discussing it. I met up with some people illegally the other night, and we were discussing this. Like, we thought it was for granted that there would be goal line technology all over the world. I mean, that has been in Italy, I think, for at least 4 years, and we're not the most developed of nations. So I feel like it's the basics, really. I mean, we've seen, it as a half Irish man, of how it feels to not make it to a World Cup.
Don't bring that up this week, Tommy. You're trying to kick me in the nuts. I'm already down.
But I mean, these are like, there is a lot at stake. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a game. Okay, fine. But imagine, they won't. But imagine if Portugal didn't qualify to the World Cup because they didn't win that game. That would be huge. And I would be honestly super pissed off. Like, here, there is a lot at stake. Like, the World Cup is a huge thing. And if you don't have goal line technology, then put 5 dudes next to the goal to check the line. That is really the basics, in my opinion, to be able to.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think we said it in the last pod. We weren't really sure. We were like, no, there has to be goal line. No, there has to be. There has to be. And the final point from me.
You go.
Is I want to say, no, wrong side. Fair play to Kazakhstan. They did absolutely not disgrace themselves against France, only losing 2-0. I very rarely get the chance to watch my old home perform football because they're very hard to find a stream for. But they actually did quite well. France, they made it difficult. They did play 5-4-1, so they definitely set their stall out and were like, right, it's your job to score. But 2-0 is respectable. I always Kazakhstan, I really enjoyed watching football. France, not bad work. Go on, you Eagles. Yeah.
And Rory, if you're done, I have my very last point, and then I think we could say goodbye to our listeners. Believe it or not, for the first time in an Anglo-Italian pod episode, Rory and I have managed not to pronounce the name and last name Zlatan Ibrahimovic. We have not covered Sweden. We will talk about it another time. But
it's a new start for the pod. It's a new start. He's dead to us. It's all about Isak now. All about Isak. He's our hero.
And I guess we shall see you again on Friday. We are going to have guests this episode too. We're going to cover more international football. One of the teams that I want to cover is Denmark for sure. So we'll make sure to do a little research about them because they have this kid, Damsgaard, who plays at Sampdoria, who is quite sick.
He scored 2 this week against Moldova, I think. Yeah.
Everybody kind of scored except Eriksson. But I think this is it for today. Rory, anything to say to our viewers/listeners?
I'm going to say, if you haven't already, quickly, I've started reading the XG Philosophy, the book. I'm a bit late to the party. I'm already halfway through it. Very short book, but absolutely fascinating. Find it, read it. It will genuinely change how you look at football. I'm in love with this book.
Great. Thank you so much for Steve and the Hopeless Wanderer podcast for being on with us. You guys are always there, and I think you shall be rewarded for your loyalty with an official invite to the pod. So make sure you have always your email open It's something that many people dream of since they're born. Not many people get to do it. Actually, you might be the lucky ones. No, jokes aside, we keep on working. Like, this is only the tip of the iceberg, but we keep on talking, thinking of new ideas for the end of the season next year. We are here to stay, guys, and you will be able to say we were there since day one. Thank you for being with us. Remember to follow us on Instagram, Anglo-Italian Pod, and on Twitter. Let's see if you remember, Rory.
Italian Anglo Pod. I will see you all on Friday, guys.
Talk to you later. Thank you for being with us.